Hi and welcome back to my channel. So we're starting off with me doing some yarn shopping, and this is the first yarn store I went to, which was like shut down indefinitely. So I made my way to the train station and headed to another yarn shop that I found that's actually closer to me. It's called Sawstream Gren. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly, but they sell yarn. And when I actually first got in here, they had lots of yarn, as you can see, and they had this really pretty light purple. But it was all cotton, and summer's over, so I didn't really want to keep crocheting with cotton. So I actually was going to leave and just not get any yarn. But when I made it to the front checkout, I found this beautiful purple wool, which I'm showing you here. Hi! So I'm back after a bit of a break, but I had to come back because it's October. We're approaching one of my favorite seasons of the year, which is Halloween. And I really wanted to give you guys like a crochet vlog, maybe give you some crochet patterns. So this will be kind of like my first go at all of that. So for this, I'm calling it Crochetober. And I will be letting you guys follow along as I crochet and create my Halloween costumes for this year. So over my Instagrams, I let everybody vote on which costumes I should try to recreate off of like what I already kind of was thinking of doing. And so if you aren't following me, firstly, I have two Instagrams. I have a crochet dedicated Instagram and a personal. Follow me on whichever one suits your fancy, or both. But people voted on there, and the costumes that won were Daphne from Scooby and Shigo from Kim Possible. So that's what we're going to be recreating. Today's video is starting off with the Daphne costume. I picked this one to start out of just sheer like luck. I'll be inserting some, not luck, but circumstances. I'll be inserting clips here, but basically I went to the store after work on Friday and was just looking for Thursday maybe, and was just looking for some yarn. And they didn't have like a good shade of neon green, but they did have these really nice wool skeins in this like purple. It's kind of being like overexposed right now, but it's really pretty, and it's fuzzy. So I think what I have in mind is gonna be super duper cute. And then I'm gonna use some of this that I have left over from a past project. But we are starting with the Daphne costume, so it's like a full purple base. I think I'm going to be crocheting a top and a bottom. So the first thing I wanted to crochet, I feel like you kind of have free liberty, you know, with like you need to get the general elements, but I will insert on the screen here like all the inspiration pics that I kind of looked at for people's interpretations of Daphne. And I really want to do like that preppy but still sexy, very cute thing. And this is also something that outside of the costume I will wear it, so that's another important thing because I'm going to be spending a lot of time, hopefully not too much money, but I'm still going to be spending money to make something. So I want to start off with the top, which is the pattern that we're going to do today, and it's going to be like a cropped or maybe waist length mesh crochet cardi, so like an open knit cardigan. So yeah, obviously these two shades are not exactly the same, so I'm going to actually start with this, do this in the middle, and then finish it off with this so that it looks intentional and maybe not super noticeable. But with that being said, we're going to get into the first pattern. So I'm going to share the video that I'm using over here, but basically I'm following her pattern. It's a YouTube video, so for you visual learners it's super duper helpful. And we are going to start off with the cardigan. So the first part of the cardigan where I personally like to start, and I think where she starts in her video as well, is the back part. So I'm going to crochet the back, and then I usually crochet the back to a point and then crochet down these two front parts, and then I work on the sleeves. So you'll see this in her video, but you know, if you guys also are following along with me, you are going to start, I'm starting with the darker purple I said. We are going to start with, I think it's like a foundation stitch chain, which I did not like the first time I had to do it, but I will say I think the more you do it, the better. So you're going to start off by chaining 2. and then you're going to go back into the first chain that you made, so the second chain from the hook, and you're going to take up the top 2 loops. So you can't fully see what I'm doing, which I'm just like, I see how this might not be effective. So we're actually going to change. Okay. So as she shows in her video, you have chained 2 by now, correct? You've got 2 chains. Now you're going to take your chains, you see how they're facing you. You can see some people refer to the shape that the stitch takes as a V or a U. You just see you've got 1 loop here, 1 loop here. So in this second chain from the hook, the first chain you made, you're going to lift up. You're going to lift up, go in both loops, as you can see. You'll have your back post there. Yarn over. So now you should have both loops from your chain as well as your yarn over in this first loop. You're going to pull this middle loop over. So pull this over. Cool, now you have 2 loops on your chain. You're going to yarn over again and pull the bottom 2 loops up and off the hook. Boom. So now you've actually created a stitch, as you can see. Here is the top of your stitch. You see your V. And you're going to actually be creating this foundation chain stitch, and you're going to kind of be crocheting it down. So we are going to make a foundation chain the length from your left shoulder to your right shoulder, basically distance from your 2 shoulders. So I'm using the sizing guide that I will put here on the screen just to make it easier for you to kind of estimate if you are not my same size. But in general, you can also just measure it against yourself as you're making it, taking it from shoulder to shoulder. And I am crocheting between a 14 to 15 inch long foundation chain. So to do your next foundation chain stitch, you are going to take these 2 loops. Sorry, so you've got the 2 loops, you went under them almost as if you were creating a stitch like a single crochet, for instance. Wrap around again, pull your middle loop up and off the hook. You have 2. Wrap around again, pull the bottom 2. And you're going to keep doing that. As you're seeing, it's creating this foundation chain. It's really, really beautiful. It's just a nice firm base for you to work off of, because as we do the mesh stitch, you're gonna want like a better foundation than just a chain. However, if I've also done a mesh stitch top without doing this, and I've just single crocheted along the border or the rim of the item that I created, but it's kind of up to you and what you prefer. So you're just gonna keep doing this until you have a foundation chain that is long enough to reach from shoulder to shoulder, and I will meet you guys back again when I have completed my foundation chain. Okay, and we're back. So I've completed my foundation slip stitch, and I've done it to be the length of 14 inches. I think I ended up crocheting something that is 15 inches long. So, okay. But now we are moving on to starting the actual mesh stitches. I cannot speak today. It's actually, So, once again, you guys can literally just watch the video that I have linked. I'm linked it above and down below. We're citing our sources. But to start the next row, she just says you chain 6. So we are going to chain 6. So I've got 4, 5, and 6, and I do crochet a bit weird. So if you notice that, I'm sorry. And as you can see, with this foundation chain, so I chained 6 and then I skipped 2 sections and made a single crochet in the 3rd section, stitch in the 3rd stitch. So I'm going to chain up 5 again so that we can do our next one. The first chain and the chain 6 counts as the single crochet, so that is why you chain 6 in the first one, but you'll chain 5 for all of the preceding ones. So I've chained 5, and now again, I just want you guys to see. So you will one section where we have our V right here, skip 2 section, and you will single crochet in the 3rd. So you're going to pick up 2 stitches, one and 2. And if you want to watch a much better tutorial, I mean, you can literally watch the tutorial. You guys are just following along with me as I figure it out. But there we go. So we are going to do this all the way across, chaining 5, skipping 2 sections, and going from there. I actually twisted it. Love that for me. But yeah, I'll come back when I've reached the end of the row. Okay, so we are back, and I have successfully done my first row of loops across the foundation slip stitches. So I'm honestly going off vibes. Like, I'm kind of following her pattern. I'm kind of not. I'm kind of tired is what it is. But now we need to start the next row of chains. So she did a special measurement for this to make sure that everything, to know how many loops basically she has to have for this next row. I'm feeling very lazy, and I don't think I'm going to do that, to be quite frank. I think I will just make up for whatever is not enough in the end, which I probably will be pissed about at the time, but I don't feel like it. I'm tired. Feeling not so great. So we are going to start this next row. So each row you're going to start with the chain 6. As I mentioned earlier, the first chain of this chain 6 represents your single crochet. So I am chaining 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now you are actually going to crochet, complete a single crochet in this first chain 5 space. So you're going to insert your hook, create your chain or your single crochet, boom, and now we are going to continue doing that across. So you're going to chain 5 this time. Please note you're chaining 5 and not 6. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you are going to single crochet in this next chain 5 space and continue doing that across. If you're following me and my lazy method, I would make sure you continuously check the length of this across the length of you shoulder to shoulder, because it could prove problematic. But like I said, I'm really tired, and I just needed to get started on this. So here we go. And you're literally going to repeat this across for several rows until you get a back panel that is the length from the top of your shoulder down to wherever you want it to stop on your torso. So I will come back once it has hit that length that I want it to be at. And I haven't actually quite decided the length. So when I come back, I will also tell you guys the approximate length in inches. I can't talk today. Length in inches that I want this back panel to be. Okay, so I'll be back. Hello. So the lighting is maybe not ideal, but I am popping back in as an update because I basically went to sleep last night and I did not pop back in to give you guys any progress reports. I didn't really make I didn't make crazy progress, to be honest. And so but I made a lot of progress today. I hung out with some friends. There's literally a Chipotle in Paris we didn't know about, so we went to try Chipotle. That's what you guys are actually resting on right now. And then we saw The Woman King. Honestly, amazing. A really good movie. It was a really great day. And during the movie, which was pretty long, I feel like it was over 2 hours, it was a great movie, just long. I made substantial progress on this back piece. I'm still a bit concerned that it's maybe not big enough, not long enough. I did some increases, but I don't know. It's a little chilly out here, so I'm sniffling a bit, but I don't know if it's wide enough, so on verra. But I actually think it's almost the length that I need it to be, almost. very loosely almost. I think I need it to reach my belly button and then I'll be satisfied. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm popping back in because I have finally made the back panel the length that I want it to be. So here it is. I had to kind of do some rows of the mesh stitch along the side here to make it a little wider because I don't know. I would say maybe do the calculation that she does in her video so that it is the size it should be. So I'm done. I've made it about, so on me it goes from my shoulder to about here, which is like right above my belly button. So that should be about 14 inches long, maybe 14.5 inches long. I didn't want it to be super duper cropped, and so I'm measuring it here to be sure. It's almost 15.5 inches long, so I don't know, you know, like I said, I've been going on vibes. So I'm actually going to do one more row up the side to make it just a little bit wider, and then we're going to start working on the front panels. Well, yeah, I showed you guys that I was about done making the length of this back panel. I did do the mesh stitch, like I finished down here, and I did the mesh stitch up the side just to add a little bit of extra width. Like I said, I think it should be good. It's very stretchy, so I think we're good. Now we are going to do, as you can see with your back panel, the parts that are going to come down the front. So this is the part where I kind of stopped following the pattern, but I might revisit it. But at this point, you could just divide the width of this in half and then do two exact separate rectangles down the front, but that obviously would not work because then you wouldn't have enough of an opening for where like your chest goes. So what I'm going to do is get my measuring tape, just kind of see where it's at, just lying flat, not too super stretched or anything. We're at literally 14 inches wide, which means 7 inches is exact half. So I want it to kind of be narrow and then widen. So I might do like the width of 4 inches. I'll kind of measure 4 inches on my chest, so you guys can see. I think that's ideal, and then I can kind of increase around here once we get to my bust point to kind of give that like neckline. So I'm literally just going to repeat what we did for the first row to start the back panel, but on this other side. If you do it not the way I did it, when you are done making the length of your back panel, you're going to cut the yarn, leave a long enough tail to weave in, and then you would come back here to this side, your foundation slip stitch row, and start the mesh stitch on this foundation slip stitch row, but you're not going to go all the way across. You're only going to go up to the distance that you want for that front panel. So I'm not going to have to attach my yarn because I crocheted up the side, so I'm continuing, but you'll attach your yarn at the far end of this foundation slip stitch row. You're going to chain up 6 like you did for the first row of the back panel. And I'm actually, so originally she said to skip 3 foundation slip stitches. I'm actually going to skip 2 only because I think that's a better choice, but just for me, for my measurements. So I have 1, 2, and I'm going to make my single crochet in this stitch here. Boom, and then for the rest of the row you're only going to chain 5, because remember that the chain 6, the first chain counts as your single crochet. So I chained up 5, and I'm counting 1, 2, and I'm going to make my single crochet in the second stitch. Okay, so I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for me, 4 inches across this foundation slip stitch row, it was equal to 5 of the chain 5s. So now we are actually just going to chain up 6 and complete row 2 as we completed row 2 for the back panel, but go across this row as normal, basically how we were creating the chain stitch before here. Both of the front panels crocheted the sides together and started the right sleeve. So I'm actually going to try it on for you all. I genuinely think this is going to be super duper cute. I think the yarn that I picked was a great choice. Anyways, I'm turning it inside out so you guys can see. As you can see, I have some stitch markers. But you crochet your front panels down the front. All right, here's my front panel. And then you are going to crochet the side of your front panel to the side of this back panel up to the point where you want your sleeve to start, basically. Good morning, besties. Hi. I come to you sick and thriving. Not really. Let me put my orange down. I use 1 whole skein of that first, so 50 grams of that a moment. Okay, so it took 50 grams of the purple yarn. Went very far. The stitch is amazing because you don't need that much yarn. So it literally made almost the whole base of the yarn and half of an entire sleeve. And then the leftovers that I had of the other yarn I showed you all made the other half of the sleeve, and I made it a bell sleeve. And so I'm almost done with the sleeve. That's just a little bit too short. So I am gonna go get another ball of this. Specifically want to show you guys how the pattern that I used to make the sleeve bell gradually like this. It's a very gentle bell, and I think it's super cute. And I think it really fits with the vibe that I want for my Daphne costume. So we're going to crochet in a round. I know there's different methods I've learned actually to do sleeves. So some people will crochet their sleeves separately and then combine it into a tube and then combine it to the top. I personally prefer just going in around straight from the top. So I'm going to show you guys how I attach my yarn, and we're going to get into that. Okay, so I've created my, whatever you want to call it, my magic ring, and I'm here at this is where, oh my god, where the gap I created for my arm is, right? So as you can see, I single crocheted. You can slip stitch, you can do whatever you want. I single crocheted so that there could be a little bit of stretch, a little bit more. You could even do a half double crochet to give it more stretch at the seam. But I'm actually going to join where I cut my yarn when I was joining the front panel to the back panel. So I'm actually going to join there, and that way I can also tuck this tail. So make sure as you're going that you're tucking your tails, just to make your life easier in the end. Guys, I'm so gross right now. I'm going to just kind of join my yarn in here. I'm going to make a slip stitch. Sorry, I gotta get the yarn over you. Slip stitch. Boom. Now I've got my 2 tails. I'm going to continue actually the pattern that we have going for the mesh stitch. So since it's the first stitch, and this is the only time it's going to be like this, because afterwards we're just going to continuously going around, we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to single crochet into, I'm actually going to single crochet, so as you can see, it's where we're going on the side of the mesh stitch, it's like you have 1, 2, 3 chain, the single crochet, and then 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go into 1, 2, 3 into the middle of. So make sure you grab your tails, tuck them, and do your single crochet there. And then for the next, chain 5, 4 and 5, and I'm just gonna single crochet into this next stitch here. I'm gonna kind of try to, oops, to the middle of this next. So you skip that little single crochet space, right? Single crochet here, and you're going to repeat oh my gosh guys, why am I struggling, please. You're going to repeat that all the way around for your first row, and we will meet back again once you get back to the first chain 6 that you made. Okay, so we're back because I've just got one more until I get to my first chain 6. Yay! So once you make this slip stitch, single crochet, I'm sorry y'all, you're going to chain 5 once more. Now I'm gonna tuck these up too because they're very poorly tucked. It's very hard to do this tucking with. I'm going to go ahead and single crochet in the middle of our chain 6. I am going to procure a marker. I'm just gonna take the marker that's already on here for laziness sake. I'm gonna loop that through this single crochet because that signifies our first stitch for the row. I'm so sorry, I don't know why I'm talking like this. It's actually a bit deranged. I'm sick, so please just pardon me. And we're going to keep going around and around and around and around and around. I'm actually going to meet you guys once more at the end of this row so that you can kind of see and understand where you're supposed to place your markers at each row, just so you don't get confused because it can get confusing. And yeah, but yeah, so we're just going to continue chaining 5 and single crocheting in the middle of the chain space as we have been doing up to this point. Okay, and I'll meet you back again at the end of this second row. Okay friends, so I am back with my last 2 stitches before I end row 3. So as you can see, I have done my chain stitch, my mesh stitch, whatever, I don't know what we're calling it, but done that around. And I have this chain space and then the single crochet that the stitch marker is in. So you are going to chain up 5 once more. Sorry friends. 4 and 5, single crochet in the middle of this chain space right here. 1 single crochet completed, chain up 5 again, and single crochet in this chain space after your stitch marker. And then I'm just showing you where you're going to, how you're going to move up your stitch marker so you're not confused. So now the stitch marker for the last row is in the single crochet. It will now be in this chain space that you just made. So it's going to alternate like that for each row. So we have now completed 3 rows. You are going to crochet around following the pattern of rows 2 and 3 for 4 more rows. So that means we will meet back again once you have completed your 7th row, and then this is when you will kind of have the sleeve will begin taking shape, and you will need to kind of try it on to see how it fits. And if the sleeve is a bit looser than you would like, around the 7th row is where we will begin decreasing a bit so that it fits a little bit more to your arm. Okay, so I'll meet you guys back again at round 7. Okay, and we are back again. So I have reached row 7 and I've actually started, I've completed round 7 and I actually started doing a bit of crochet on round 8. This is going to be my decrease row because the sleeve is just a little bit loose. I'll do a little try on so you all can see how it fits. So with the decreases, I'm probably just going to decrease very gradually, to be honest. So maybe removing 1 stitch for the first few rows of decrease and then maybe 2, just so I can gradually have that drop. So I'm just showing you guys how I'm decreasing if you choose to decrease. This is an optional step, only if you feel like the sleeve isn't fitting as tightly as you want it to. For this first row of decrease, I actually completed 9 of the chain stitches, and I'm going to complete the decrease on my 10th stitch. So I'm going to crochet, or I'm going to chain 5, and then I'm actually going to skip this chain stitch here and complete my single crochet here. As you'll see, it creates a obviously larger gap than the other ones, but it's not crazy noticeable. However, if you don't alternate where you do your decreases throughout, then it might be a lot more noticeable that your big gaps are, you know, kind of stacked right on top of each other. And it's also the same thing where I don't want to do too many decreases in the same row because I don't want an entire row with these larger gaps. And so I'm actually going to crochet, and after I do that first decrease, I'm just going to crochet around, and I'm actually going to do kind of a little pattern for how I alternate my decreases if you choose to decrease, which I'm going to kind of put on the screen so that you know how to follow that decrease pattern, just so that they're placed in a way where it's not as conspicuous. Just so you all can see, sleeve here, boom. Here's the one I'm working on. After the decreases, I think I'm probably going to stop the decreases here and add the rest. I'm going to double check that I'm at the right amount of rows for the darker purple, and then we're going to switch to this light purple. But as I told you all, I ran out of it, so we're going to have to take a trip to the yarn shop. Okay, and now I will be showing you how to create the increase stitch to make your bell sleeves. Here I'm starting 1 stitch before the increase. So I'm going to create a mesh stitch like normal. Place my single crochet in the next stitch. I'm going to create my next mesh stitch by chaining 5. And completing another mesh stitch in the same stitch that I just completed it in. So when you look at it, you should have 2 single crochets and 1 chain 5 loop from the previous row. And that is how you create your increase stitch. Okay, so now that I've completely finished the cardigan, it is time to do my last and final step, which is also an optional step, but it will help you if you want to add ties to that front part of the cardigan. So I'm going to actually create a trim around the cardigan, so just crocheting into all these chains. I'm personally going to do a single crochet stitch. You can also do slip stitch if you would like, but it's because of the shape of the chains, it's going to ultimately create a scalloped edging, and I think it's just going to add to the very like prim and preppy look of the cardigan. And also it's going to be a point where I can add the ties to that front part. It's just going to make it easier to do that in a more seamless manner, in a way that will be more secure. So I'm actually starting on the straight edge of the bottom of my cardigan. I'll do a zoomed out shot for you all so that you can have for reference, but I'm starting along the straight edge of the bottom part of my cardigan. And I'm doing that because you're gonna literally go all the way around just this front part. You don't have to do it on the sleeve if you don't want to, but also just because this is where my like last little tail is that I want to tuck in is, so this will just make it super easy for me to do that. So we are gonna start by a slip stitch into the top. There's actually a single crochet right here on this corner, so I'm gonna slip stitch into the top of that, making sure to kind of push the tail that I want to tuck over this way because I'll be crocheting this way. Slip stitch. I'm also going to grab the tail from my slip stitch join and tuck these this way so I can begin tucking as I go. So I'm going to actually just single crochet the most easy way. So I'm going to chain 1 for my first one. I'm going to complete 6 single crochet in each chain space so that I do not have to stop and single crochet into each single crochet in between the chain spaces. I'm just going to crochet in the chain spaces. So hopefully that makes sense, but I will just show you guys so that you can see and understand. So 1, 2, so it's a chain space of 5 and then plus the single crochet completed between each chain space, that makes it 6. So if I do 6 single crochet into each chain space, then I don't have to single crochet into this single crochet. I can just skip to the next chain space, I'm sorry. So completing 6 single crochet in the chain space so that I can skip this single crochet and hop on over to my next chain 5 space. And that way you can create a cute little trim around. And I will meet you all once we reach the front parts of the cardigan that's going to rest over your bust, and I will show you the point at which we will be adding the tie. Okay, so we are meeting again, and I have done up about a little under halfway, honestly, of the front panel, but I'm also reaching this chain space right here, which is where the cardigan kind of pokes out a bit at the point where, you know, it meets with the other side. I will show you. Now, once we get to this chain space, I told you all before that I was doing 4 single crochets in each chain space. So now I'm actually just going to complete 2 for this part where I'm going to make my tie. I've done 2. Alright, and then I'm going to chain up how long I want my chain to be, my tie space to be. So I've chosen to chain to like 45-ish. So I'm going to chain up 45-ish, 40 to 45. Okay, so I have chained 40, and now I'm actually going to single crochet back down this chain until we reach the last single crochet we made here. So we'll meet back again. Okay, and now I have made it back down to the first stitch of my chain 40, and as you can see now I'm going to continue my single crochets in the chain space. So I'm going to complete 2 more single crochet. 1, 2, and then move over to my next chain space. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm gonna complete that around and complete the same thing on the other side once you reach it. Alright. I have gone up the side. I think I'll back up because it's so overexposed. But hopefully you can see I've gone up the side. I'm actually not going, I don't think I'm gonna do the trim along this back part here. If you remember, that is where we did the foundation slip stitch chain thing, and I don't feel like it, and I also don't feel like we really need that there. So I'm gonna actually cut off my yarn here where I stopped, where the foundation slip stitch chain part starts, and just join here and go down, create my chain 40 single crochet down, and then connect here and finish off. and then I'll weave in those ends at the end. And we are like almost done, my friends, so I'm super excited about that. I'm so excited. But yeah, just a note, once I got here on the sleeve space, so I don't know if it's going to be the same for you all, I noticed that the 4 single crochets in the chain space was kind of pulling it taut a bit, as if I might be decreasing or not doing enough single crochets in the space. So I did add 1 extra just for that concern. So I did 5 single crochets in the chain space around this like top of the shoulder area. But obviously I think you guys obviously can follow the pattern, but the other part about I think any type of handicraft, crochet, knit, sewing is also following your intuition and kind of trying to figure out maybe what's needed. So yeah. And we have now finished the trim, and I have not weaved in the ends, but I just want to do like a final try on. Yeah. So this is how she's looking. I think it's really cute. I had a little trouble with the sleeves. I did the bell sleeve, and then like at one point I thought it was long enough, and then now it's like still looking a little short to me. I might add a few rounds after I make the skirt. We shall see. I think we're done, guys and gals. I think we're done. So yeah. Good morning. I literally just woke up, so please advise. I have 2 costumes I want to do. I also completely forgot that I had this purple slip dress that I thrifted because I stopped wearing it as a dress. I started wearing it literally as a nightgown because that's what it is. It's like a nightgown. I thrifted it with a friend, and so I was working on a skirt, but then I realized that I already have a dress, and if I want to have time to do my second costume, which also has a skirt with it, we're gonna have to make a choice. So I think that this is really cute though. Hopefully you guys think the same. So this dress is actually long, which I'm gonna untie my work. So it's long, but I feel like this look very much gives like Gilmore Girls character. You know, like it very much gives early 2000s hyper femme, super cute look. But I still want to give Daphne, and the costume's obviously not done yet. I think I still need some more elements to make it Daphne, but I also do, I don't know, I think the dress being shorter is cuter. And then I have these platform booties on right now. I try to show you without flashing you. I have these, but they're black, and the color is just not really giving. I think I'd either need something that is white or like purple or like something like that. But to shorten this dress I was using this, which is white, but I have yarn, so I'm actually going to just crochet literally a long thin belt like this to do the tie instead. So instead of having white, I can have like cohesive colors. And so I'm literally just going to chain a chain that is the length of this belt, which I will include the measurements soon. And then I'm going to single crochet back down it because it's you see the width is literally the thickness of a single crochet row. And like that is going to be that for the skirt part. And then we just have to do the ascot and the headband. I ordered my wig last night. So it's coming together. We're getting there. We are getting there, girlies. So yeah. Okay, good morning, y'all. So we are on our very last step, which is the touch of green. So Daphne's ascot. So I chained up 106, and then I skipped the first 2 chains and double crocheted in the 3rd chain. So the first 2 chains is going to count as your first double crochet, and I double crocheted all the way down. Now I'm going to show you guys how to make kind of like an angled end for the ascot. So it is super duper simple. I was cutting the wig that I bought for the costume last night, and it's everywhere. So sorry. So I've gotten to the end of the row. I'm actually going to tuck this tail as I go, just a note. So I'm going to turn, chain 2, grab my tail so I can tuck it, and we are going to do 2 more double crochet in that same stitch right here at the end, so we get that nice little angled vibe. 1 and 2, and then you're just gonna double crochet down the rest of the row as normal, and we will meet back again once we reach the end of the row. Okay, so we've reached the end of the row, and so in this last stitch, which is the chain 2 that I created from skipping the first 2 chains, we are going to complete 3 double crochet in that top chain as well. Sorry, I don't know why I make sounds. And then you're done. Okay, so it's Editing Kayla jumping in to conclude this video. So thank you so much for joining me as I created my costume. I'm so sorry if you can hear my loud behind computer. As you can see, I've edited almost an hour-long video on this thing, so she's struggling. She is trying to catch her breath right now, but that's not the point. Thank you guys so much for watching. So to see the full outfit reveal, I will literally be posting a reel, or oh my gosh, a YouTube short showing how everything came together. So please look out for that. Make sure to like, comment, whatever, engage with that. I really hope you guys liked it. I'm really happy for honestly any feedback. This is my first time doing a crochet vlog and also incorporating a bit of like a pattern into it. So I'm hoping to come back with more patterns, and yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and please look forward to a lot more videos, vlogs, crochet vlogs, patterns, all kinds of stuff. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Just wanna get close to you, yeah. Won't you stay with me tonight, yeah? I treat 'em up with the massage of my mind for that. Won't you stay with me tonight, yeah?